All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Pryor, and I would just like to go ahead and call our meeting to order. Working with me today to help bring this meeting to life, I have Carol Meyer, Executive Director, and then we also have Mike Hoffpower. Between the three of us, we will facilitate the meeting. I'm going to go ahead and just get us started and let us know about the context of why we're here. And Mike will actually cover the ground rules right after that. Between myself and Carol and Mike, we'll again facilitate the activity, and I will be recognizing people by way of the hand raise activity. So let's go ahead and take a look at the context of how we got here. Late last year, we had.
Let me start showing the slides first.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, Mike, please show slide number 3. Or you could go with 2. That's just the agenda.
Okay, just want to make sure people can see the slides. Can y'all see the slides yet?
I see the slides. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So yes, the meeting's been called to order. This meeting is for delegates, alternates, and the 3 candidates. And it's being taped. You should have all recognized and acknowledged that it was being taped. After we see the presentations, we will go to the questions from the delegates. Mike, slide, please.
Okay.
All right. So as I was saying before, late last year, we were notified, US Chess was notified that the DC Chess League was going to withdraw as a state chapter. Earlier this year, US Chess reached out to all DC-based affiliates for them to gauge and submit their credentials to become the state affiliate in accordance with the bylaws. As a result, we have 3 affiliates that would like to become the state chapter: the DC Chess Association, DC State Chess Federation, and DMV Chess. All right, we can go to the next slide. All right, so here are the 2 main parts of the bylaws. The first part, section 1, talks about having the credentials submitted to the executive board. And the second one talks about the state and the responsibility overarching that the state chapter guides chess activity and provides representation to all groups, and that each state affiliate or state chapter nominates delegates and alternates per Article 5, Section 4 of the bylaws. Next slide, please. Mike's going to cover the ground rules.
Okay, can you hear me, Kevin?
Yes.
All right, well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So here are the ground rules, first of 2 quick charts. First of all, the question and answer session is for the delegates and the alternates. And those would be, we'll go into the Q&A phase after the delegates have heard the presentations, the video presentations that have been pre-recorded from each of the 3 affiliates. The sequence is going to be decided by a random live drawing in just a few moments. Once the presentations are finished and we enter Q&A, just use the raise hand feature, the raise hand feature within Zoom, and that'll be how you get your questions answered, or get a chance to ask our questions. If somebody puts something in the chat, it's not going to be acknowledged as a question, so chat is not going to be followed and used in this. Second slide for the ground rules. Questions can only come from the delegates and alternate delegates. Okay, so when it's your turn, if you have a question, please preface it by directing the question to 1, 2, or all 3 candidates. For example, can the DC Chess Association expound more on X? Or can we have each of the 3 candidates expound more on X? And because we have a sequence, the video presentations is going to be given in, and we'll be deciding on in a few moments. When a question comes up that gets asked for all three delegates, for all three affiliates to answer, the chair is going to work the sequence. So he'll rotate the sequence so that it's not always the same sequence as we're giving in the video presentation. So when it's time for an affiliate to respond, you have 2 minutes. So this is just like we do at the delegates meetings. So this is nothing new. It's not a new rule. This is just like we do at a delegates meeting, where a response, to a question, or when someone is speaking at the mic, it's limited to 2 minutes. And every delegate and alternate, just like we do at the annual meeting, is allowed one question. So if you raise your hand, that's one question, not I have 5 questions. Here's my first question. Okay. Or I have a 5-part question. No, you ask your question, one question at a time. And if there's other people with their hands raised, they will get to go before you get to go again. And the chair is going to be monitoring that. Okay. So let's go ahead and do now the sequencing of the presentations that I have in my hat here. I got all 3 of the ones listed. So I'm going to pull the first one. Okay. So the order of sequence will be DC State Chess Federation will be going first. So let me pull the other 2, or just one. Okay. And DMV will go second. Okay, so there's the DMV tab, and this one was DC State Chess Federation. And the one that's still left in the hat was DCCA. Okay, so you got that sequence, Chair? Okay.
All right, we're good with that. We've got the order.
Carol, I'm going to stop share so you can work it on your end. There's no.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to passionately advocate for the recognition of the DC State Chess Federation as the new U.S. Chess Federation state affiliate for the District of Columbia. I firmly believe that the DC State Chess Federation has demonstrated an extraordinary commitment to promoting chess and fostering a vibrant chess community in our nation's capital. Allow me to outline several compelling reasons why the DC State Chess Federation is deserving of this esteemed honor. First and foremost, since June of 2021, the DC State Chess Federation has organized an impressive total of 56 U.S. Chess Federation rated tournaments, surpassing the record of any other DC affiliate in the history of the U.S. Chess Federation. These tournaments provide valuable opportunities for chess players of all ages and skill levels to compete and enhance their abilities. By hosting a diverse range of events, the DC State Chess Federation has created an inclusive and dynamic chess environment that benefits the entire chess community in the District of Columbia. Furthermore, the DC State Chess Federation has made remarkable strides in supporting scholastic chess. One of the most commendable aspects of the DC State Chess Federation is its commitment to providing free scholastic USCF rated tournaments. This initiative ensures that students from all backgrounds, especially underserved communities, have equal access to competitive chess, promoting inclusivity and creating a level playing field. By offering these free tournaments, the DC State Chess Federation has set an exemplary standard that other affiliates can aspire to. Additionally, the DC State Chess Federation boasts an active tournament player list of nearly 200 individuals, surpassing any other DC affiliate in the history of the U.S. Chess Federation. This demonstrates the strong interest and engagement fostered by the DC State Chess Federation within the local chess community. The organization has cultivated a vibrant network of dedicated players who actively participate in tournaments, enhancing the competitiveness and quality of chess in the District of Columbia. Another noteworthy accomplishment of the DC State Chess Federation is its success in attracting new members to the U.S. Chess Federation. This year alone, almost 50 individuals have already chosen to become U.S. Chess Federation members through the DC State Chess Federation, a record number for any DC affiliate in the history of the U.S. Chess Federation. This achievement highlights the DC State Chess Federation's effectiveness in promoting the benefits of USCF membership and its ability to engage and grow the chess community in the District of Columbia. Lastly, the DC State Chess Federation has played a significant role in producing USCF tournament directors from its membership base. The presence of qualified tournament directors is crucial for the smooth functioning and organization of chess events. The DC State Chess Federation has made substantial contributions to the USCF by producing more tournament directors who are DC members of the USCF than any other DC affiliate in history. Among our accomplished tournament directors is a 14-year-old DC member of the USCF who holds the distinction of being the youngest local tournament director in the history of DC, Maryland, and Virginia. This not only speaks to our organization's commitment to supporting chess tournaments, but it also its dedication to cultivating leadership within the chess community. The need for the DC State Chess Federation's candidacy as the USCF state affiliate for DC is evident and long overdue. DC has been underrepresented in chess for years. In July of 2022, the USCF State's Affiliate Committee discovered the current state affiliate, DC Chess League, failed to fulfill its duties for over 30 years. The DC Chess League violated USCF clauses and bylaws, operating illegitimately and neglecting DC members. As a result, the DC Chess League's impact within the DC community remains severely limited, depriving DC-based US chess members of the benefits and services they rightfully deserve from a state chapter. In conclusion, the DC State Chess Federation has proven itself as an outstanding affiliate worthy of becoming the new US Chess Federation state affiliate for the District of Columbia. Our remarkable track record of organizing a significant number of USCF tournaments, providing free scholastic USCF rated tournaments, attracting numerous members to the USCF, and producing skilled tournament directors showcases the organization's exceptional commitment to promoting chess in the District of Columbia. Granting the DC State Chess Federation the recognition it deserves will further strengthen the chess community and provide greater opportunities for chess enthusiasts in our nation's capital. Thank you very much.
Okay, Carol, go ahead and cue up the next one. The presentation that's being queued up now is for DMV.
My name is Stephen Jablon, and I'm a senior tournament director, a national arbiter, and the president of DMV Chess. I recommend anyone who hasn't done so already should read Why DMV Chess Should Be Designated as the District of Columbia State Chapter, which is part of our application packet. This document details who we are and what we do, including that we have run large tournaments, started 8 chess clubs, organized Grandmaster lectures and camps, and have more than 20 tournament directors and 30 employees and contractors on our payroll. In this presentation, I'll talk more specifically about the differences between DMV Chess and the 2 other organizations seeking the position, and talk about why we are the best choice. DMV Chess was created in 2015 with the purpose of promoting chess for all players in the DC metropolitan area. The 3 letters in its name stand for the District of Columbia and its Maryland and Virginia suburbs. I live in Washington, DC itself, while DMV Chess's manager, Josh Hyben, lives in Tysons Corner, a nearby Virginia suburb. DMV Chess has run over 1,200 tournaments and organized online and in-person tournaments for over 7,900 unique players. Our largest in-person tournament was the Beltway Open, which had 249 players. Our largest online tournament was the May Major Scholastic Open, which had 447 players. When the pandemic stopped in-person play, DMV Chess adapted to changing circumstances, becoming one of the first organizations in the country to offer rated online tournaments under the USCF's new online rating system. The District of Columbia State Chess Federation, or DCSCF for short, has a substantial presence in Washington, D.C., but its goals are more modest. It only holds one-day events, primarily scholastic tournaments. The District of Columbia Chess Association, or DCCA for short, was founded in January of this year by Robin Ramson and other people who have little to no chess directing or organization experience. The DCCA claims in its application that Robin Ramson's previous organization, Chess Girls DC, technically fulfills the requirement to run events, but such events often have almost no attendees. She presents Chess Girls DC as being one of the most well-regarded chess organizations in the country, but in reality, the vast majority of players in Washington, D.C. have never heard of Chess Girls DC, whose tournaments are sparsely attended. The DCCA claims in its application that Chess Girls DC is one of the most creative and effective chess programs in the United States, but this is clearly untrue. Its goal is to promote chess for women and girls, but it only managed to attract 3 players for the Herring Tournament qualifier, which selects the top girl under 18 from every state. In contrast, DMV Chess ran a scholastic tournament this past weekend that attracted 193 players, including 26 girls. What sets DMV Chess apart from others seeking the position is our extensive experience. In order to run a tournament with over 100 people, the chief tournament director must have senior tournament director or higher certification. DMV Chess has 6 tournament directors that meet this criteria. The other organizations seeking the position have none. Mark Rodenberg, the DCCA board's only tournament director, has run a handful of action tournaments in the past several months. These are the only events he has run since he quit directing tournaments as a teenager in the 1970s. DMV Chess is also the only one of the 3 candidates to run tournaments lasting more than a day. While our competitors restrict themselves to hiring only DC residents for their boards, DMV Chess is a more balanced approach. 2 of our board members live in the city itself, while the 3 others live a short subway ride away. DMV Chess believes that you can't get the best people if you exclude nearly 90% of the metropolitan area from participation. The vice chairman and the executive secretary of the DCSCF and the secretary of the DCCA all lack any real experience playing, directing, or organizing chess events. DMV Chess believes that it is important for leaders of an organization to be active members of the chess community, both directing and actively playing in tournaments. I've directed over 100 tournaments and played in over 1,100. Josh Hyben has directed over 1,200 tournaments and played in over 600. As for our competitors, the chairman of the DCSCF, Vaughn Bennett, has directed 62 tournaments and played in 27. Robin Ramson, the president of the DCCA, has neither played in nor directed any tournaments. All 5 members of our board are USCF-rated chess players. The same can be said about only 3 out of the 5 board members of the DCCA and 1 out of the 3 board members of the DCSCF. The DCSCF's vice chairman has only played 1 USCF-rated game, which is not enough to secure an official USCF rating. One of the best ways to gauge an organization's popular appeal is to look at the number of players in its active player list, which is a list of people who have played in 2 or more events in the past 2 years. DMV Chess has 2,838 players on its list. The DCSCF has 180 players, and Chess Girls DC has only 10 players. DMV Chess believes that it is important to serve all groups of chess players in DC. We run tournaments for both children and adults. We offer blitz, quick chess, dual rated, and slow games. We create chess clubs, and we conduct seminars about classic games. To sum up, DMV Chess is the best choice to become the DC state chapter for the United States Chess Federation because of its extensive experience in running tournaments, its involvement in teaching and tutoring chess, its large group of experienced personnel, and its attention to quality in all its endeavors.
Okay, Carol, now go ahead and queue up the presentation from the DC Chess Association. This is the final of the 3 presentations.
My name is Robin Ramson. I am the founder of Chess Girls DC nonprofit organization and the president of the DC Chess Association. Organized in 2013, Chess Girls DC nonprofit organization has shared its resources with the entire co-ed chess community in the District of Columbia since 2017 to provide equity to girls as well as boys. I have served on several U.S. chess committees, the Clubs Committee, the Scholastic Committee, the Women's Committee, and recently I was invited to participate on the Bylaws Committee. I have also served as a USCF delegate since 2018. Since 2017, my community partners, the U.S. Chess Center, Capital Area Chess, the DC Black Knights, and local businesses have successfully hosted the only officially sanctioned state scholastic championship 6 years thus far. My team and I have also provided financial assistance to low-income students to travel to the Rockefeller, Barbara Danker, and All Girls National Invitationals, and provided coaching to prepare our youth for the tournaments. In 2013, I have also hosted numerous chess events and festivals at everything from libraries, recreation centers, cultural centers, school, and I'm most proud of the homework clubs in marginalized neighborhoods in Wards 6, 7, and 8. I have also coordinated cultural exchange chess programs with several embassies. The events were well attended and boasting the highest participation and diversity in years. I have also raised funds for students to attend the FIDE chess tournament for students with disabilities. During the COVID, with the financial support of the DC Chess Association, I continue to host the only sanctioned state championship outside, which was well attended. During that period, I also distributed over 275 chess sets across the city to eliminate stress and idle-mindedness. Evolving from the above-listed experiences, I organized the DC Chess Association to bring leaders together with exceptional skill sets to continue to grow our DC chess community. The leaders of the DCCA have vast experience in international chess governance and competition, global policies which affect cybersecurity. They've managed large school systems. They've served on leadership teams of large nonprofits such as the United Way and the Urban League. They have experience in executing strategies to improve programming and reallocating resources to marginalized neighborhoods. The DC Chess Association has codified in our bylaws our pledge to collaborate with the residents of the District of Columbia to represent their ideas about chess activities. We believe that the state chapter should serve as a conduit between the community and the U.S. Chess Federation, and the activities should truly encompass that which is of interest to the community. In closing, I want you to remember that out of the 3 candidates who put forth an application to become the DC State Chapter affiliate, the DCCA is incorporated and headquartered in Washington, D.C. All the members of the DCCA work and reside in Washington, D.C. and are U.S. chess members. Members of the DCCA have a proven track record of successfully conducting the only sanctioned state scholastic championship since 2017. The members of the DCCA are rooted in philanthropy and charitable alliances, closing the financial gaps and inequitable circumstances since 2017. The DCCA respects and encourages the line of authority from the U.S. Chess Federation, which is designed to fairly investigate accusations and resolve conflicts between the public, the U.S. Chess Organization, and its affiliates. The DCCA will not deceive or weaponize the community against each other by engaging in disinformation, distributing misinformation, conducting online bullying, or smear campaigns against innocent chess teachers and other members of the U.S. Chess Federation, such as the other candidate. Please vote to approve the DCCA's application as the 2023 U.S. Chess State Chapter affiliate. Check out our application on the U.S. Chess Governance website. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have heard from all three. Thank you, candidates, for sending those in and doing such a great job on your presentation. I just want to remind you, as far as the question and answer portion for all the delegates, please use the raise hand function. It should be in the toolbar. And then also, if there are more than one question, if there's a question that goes to more than one candidate, I'll vary the order of responses so that it's not the same sequence. And if you have more than one question, you'll have to get back in line after asking the first one to be able to ask a subsequent question. And remember, you are limited to 2 minutes. I will basically track that on my watch. I'll give you a warning if you are at the 2-minute mark, and then we'd ask that you very quickly wrap up. At no time are we going to have the candidates themselves address each other. All questions will come from the delegates. So let's go ahead and begin. Then we have the first question. A hand is raised by Caleb Brown of Texas. All right. Caleb, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. So I have a question for all three candidates.
All right.
Okay.
So as far as the order for this, we will go DCCA, DMV, followed by DCSCF. So go ahead with your question,
Okay.
Caleb.
So I was wondering, so if your affiliate becomes a state chapter, how are you going to choose your delegate and your representatives to the invitational tournament, including the Irving tournament? The like for seniors, I haven't heard anything about that. So if you could just explain how you're going to choose those people, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead then. Let me find. Okay, DCCA, let me find Robin. Robin, I'm going to unmute you or allow you to unmute yourself. I just lost her.
Good
She's
afternoon.
there.
Okay,
2 minutes.
thank you.
Good afternoon. The DCCA will select its nominations to the invitationals through a state championship process, as we've done for the past 6 years.
All right. Thank you. There was this, okay, we'll move on to Von Bennett. Let's see, no, DMV, Steve Jablon.
Ourselves. Oh, we're in
Oh,
mute.
yeah.
There we go.
So yeah, we're also planning to have we're going to have a state championship tournament, and then the senior tournament, which will select the senior qualifier. That will be a separate event. And then we're also going to have a separate scholastic tournament that will select all the scholastic qualifiers.
The delegate is basically, we have to check to see who's interested in becoming delegate. And then ideally, if there's more than one, we'll go by whoever is the most popular support, essentially. But one thing I should actually add in terms of the question, like how are we going to determine kind of like state champions, et cetera. So we've been like pushing for the DC championship for a long time. And the DC Chess League, the outgoing affiliate, we really kind of like pushed hard to make the DC Chess Championship happen. So.
All right, well, thank you. Okay, let's go now to Von Bennett. So Carol, are you unmuting? Oh, I am, okay.
Oh, can you hear
Okay,
me?
Vaughn, there we go.
Okay, thank you, Caleb, for your question. First, we would, as far as determining who the delegate to represent the District of Columbia would be conducted through a process of election where we would find those DC members of the U.S. Chess Federation who might be interested and campaign, put throw their hat in the ring, for lack of better words. So there will be an electoral process, returning to the days of old when I remember when I used to be duly elected DC delegate from 2004 to 2006. Regarding the state championships, as the District of Columbia has been kept out of chess for almost 30 years, in accordance with the State's Affiliate Committee report from last July, we would therefore, and we've been trying to go about empowering the people, the children of the District of Columbia, by having consistent weekly tournaments. That's what we do. And so we would have a series of events designed to prepare the children, to make them stronger, to let them understand what the championship would be, so that when they go there, they can know there's a $20,000 prize fund, that they can win a full scholarship to college. And so we would do a series of events leading up to a championship, a state championship. And for the same thing for the seniors, we would have a series of monthly events for the seniors to get them acclimated to playing chess and get them used to something that has been kept intentionally away from the District of Columbia for 30 years. Again, in accordance with what the State's Affiliates Committee's report said last July.
All right, thank you, Vaughn Bennett. All right, so the next hand that's raised is Adam Krisney. So Adam, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is for all participants. I'm from the DC area. I run one of the clubs in the DC area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And there have been rumors that one or more of the affiliates applying for the DC statehood, the DC state affiliate, have been participant to legal action against other chess associations. So my general question is, can any and all of you address whether you have brought a suit against any other DC affiliates, and what caused those? What were the cause of actions for those suits?
All right, the order of response will be DCCA, DMV will be first, DCCA second, and last will be DCSCF. So we'll go ahead and start with DMV. Steve, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, so in answer to your question, Adam, we have never sued anyone and we've never pursued legal action against anybody. First, we would try to resolve it just by talking to people. And if we had to, we would involve the USCF. But it's unlikely we would ever have to take legal action.
One of our board members was sued by Vaughn Bennett, the head of the DCSCF. And that case was dismissed subsequently.
All right. Thank you. We'll move on to DCCA. And Robin, you can unmute yourself. Oh, sorry, Robin. There we go.
No members of the DCCA have been involved in any type of lawsuit against US Chess or any of its members. As I said in the presentation, we respect the Chess Federation's ability to resolve issues on the behalf of its members. Unlike the other candidate, Vaughn Bennett, who sued the US Chess Federation in 2006 and more than 20 of its members, we've worked together. We've worked across borders with a lot of chess organizations and headquartered, and I want to remind you, we are headquartered in DC. We are run by DC residents for DC residents.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I'm going now to Vaughn Bennett. You can unmute yourself, Vaughn, and once you begin speaking, the camera will turn to you.
Thank you, Mr. Krisney. I know that you have hosted the DC Chess League's events at your establishment in Virginia for a number of years, and you've been heavily involved with the DC Chess League and its control over the District of Columbia. And that's why the state's affiliate committee found that the DC Chess League failed to perform its state chapter's duties and obligations repeatedly and continuously for over 30 years, violating U.S. Chess Federation bylaws. And they further found that DC Chess League did not function as a state chapter, and it failed to include DC members in governance. It did not serve DC members and the chess community, and did not include DC residents in the chapter's leadership, representative, and volunteering ranks, greatly limiting its functions in the DC community and thereby depriving DC US Chess members of the benefits and services of a state chapter. And as the DC Chess League is a Maryland affiliate of the US Chess Federation.
So I'm gonna, excuse me,
I'm answering
Mr.
the
Bennett,
question.
Mr. Bennett, if I could get you to just answer. the
I'm answering,
question that was asked.
I'm answering, sir.
Okay. Please continue and respond to the question as it was asked about legal activity.
Legal activity against, he said specifically, DC affiliates. As a DC Chess League is a Maryland state affiliate, no, I have not filed any action against any other DC affiliate.
So I think it was a generic question, meaning anyone in the United States Chess Federation.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said. Do you want him to rephrase the question, and then that way it can be more clear?
Yes, hang on
Thank you.
just a second. Let me go back to Mr. Chris,
I mean,
just to make sure.
yeah,
I
just
just want to make sure I
make
got it.
sure.
Yeah, there's, to reiterate, and Mr. Bennett, this was not necessarily directed at you, just to be clear. There have
Okay.
been a lot of rumors, and I just wanted to give everybody a fair chance to answer the question about whether they had filed any lawsuit against any affiliate, USCF affiliate, and what was the cause of action that was filed. And I didn't say this in my original question, but what was the result?
All right, Mr. Bennett, I'm going to give you a fresh 2 minutes on that.
Well, am I the only one to respond to that, or?
The other two have responded.
Oh,
You're the last
so,
one.
so this new question is just for me. This new question is just for DC State Chess Federation.
So I would say respond to the first question. You don't
I
have
did,
to
I
respond
responded
to the
to the first
second.
question. And so now it's the second question, and it's more broader. So I just need to be clear. I'm not understanding. You said you heard rumors. When did you hear these rumors, Mr. Krisney? Because if you're talking about rumors, that's usually something that's current. So what rumors have you heard recently that might have, because I don't know what you're talking about actually. But if you're talking about something that happened maybe 20 years ago or almost thereabout, then I can elaborate on that. But you said there are rumors. So I want to be specific, Mr.
Okay, so
Could you clarify your
you're
rumors?
fading out a little bit. So here's the redirect on the question. It stems from a standpoint of a question about legal activity among the three candidates.
Third iteration on the question.
So can you answer that part of it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. But he didn't give the third iteration. You've given. Are you speaking for Mr. Krisney or?
So I'm
Be
asking you,
specific as to,
I'm asking you
I
at this
mean,
point
you,
to
as
go
a-
with the original intent of the first question, and that is to ask all three candidates if they've been involved in any legal activity against any US Chess affiliate. Just answer that question, please.
so leave out the part about what he said twice about rumors. Leave that out. Is that what you're saying I should do?
I'd say you should answer the question, the rumor part.
About rumors?
Answer the
about
question. Rumor or not, just answer the question.
So in 2005, yes, I did file suit, a racial discrimination lawsuit against the US Chess Federation and 23 defendants. And it was regarding the fact that I knew exactly what the state's affiliate committee said, that the District of Columbia has intentionally been kept out of chess activities. Whereas you have people from Maryland and Virginia running the events in the District of Columbia. give you a further point, you have Andy Rea, who was vice president of the Virginia Chess Federation as the executive director of the DC Chess League. And he didn't leave until a couple of years ago. And as a result of their work that they've been doing, Mr. Krisney, the state's affiliate committee of the DC US Chess Federation found that DC Chess League failed to perform its state's duties. So what you've done, what the DC Chess League did and its cohorts, including the other applicants, they have kept chess and intentionally kept chess away from the District of Columbia residents. Consider that even on June 3rd, this past June 3rd, where the Rockefeller qualifier in the District of Columbia took place, there were 17 children that played in it, only 8 from the District of Columbia. And most other children in the District of Columbia know nothing about the running of tournaments, or that there's a tournament that a child can go to and win a full scholarship to college. And when you keep something like that away from children, then that affects their ability to protect their freedom, their health, and their lives. You know, in 2005, I was thinking a lot different than what I am now. And basically, I will tell you that individually, I filed that lawsuit. The DC State Chess Federation was not incorporated until 2020. So under the DC State Chess Federation, there has been no legal action undertaken, no legal action threatened, nothing of that sort. And I've worked diligently I've worked on national championships with some of the same people that are on this call. So I understand the direction because we're chess players, Mr. Krisney. And I know that you conduct the DC Chess League activities at your business location and that you're heavily involved with the other members who are running.
15 seconds, Mr. Bennett. 15 seconds.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm done.
All right. Thank you. All right. The next hand that's raised is Hal Terry. And Hal, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Okay. I actually have a question about governance structure of the 3 groups, but it's not the same question for each group, so I'll have to ask the first one and then get back in line. So let me first ask the DCCA. I looked over the documents that you submitted, and it looks to me, maybe I misunderstand, that the membership can make nominations for positions on the board of directors, but the actual voters are the members of that board. Is that correct?
Oh, let me unmute it. So.
Thank
Robin,
you. Thank you for that question. First of all, if you look at our bylaws, we have codified in our bylaws that we will always accept suggestions and heavily collaborate with the public through our website portal. We have also pledged to have public meetings about what the public would like to see in our activities. Headquartered in DC, we are not a membership organization, and the officers and the members of the organization are primarily involved in the voting. But we will accept any person who wants to be a delegate through our portal or anyone who wants to participate in helping us.
Thank you. All right, the next hand in order, and just how to your concern about being in line, the line is only about 3 hands deep, so you could be back pretty soon. Let's see, the next hand up is Caleb Brown. Please unmute yourself, Caleb.
Mr. Chair, I correct you. It's Vish, because Vish hasn't asked a question yet.
Oh, it's Vish. Okay. I'm sorry, Caleb. Let's go to Vish. Unmute yourself, please, Vish.
I'm trying. Okay. Hello, everyone. I have a question which goes to all 3 of them, but the questions are different but the same. We as a committee looked at your applications to all 3 of you guys, and girls too. I'm not discriminating here. At the end of it, the executive committee sent you a letter saying some of the parameters that's not taken care of by you all. I would like to hear from specifically DMV and DCCA, how they are going to adjust into the membership issue, which Hal Terry just spoke about. Both of them are non-member organizations. So how are you going to address that? And for the third one, DCSEF, again, the EB sent you a letter which said, we have some issues that you need to take care of. Have you taken care of those? That's what I wanted to ask. The questions come from the letters that were sent to all three of you by the EB board. What have you done since you applied for the statehood? What have you done to correct the deficiencies that you have? Thank you all.
All right, so the order of response, again, varying it this time, we'll start with DCCA first, followed by DMV. And no, I'm sorry. This time we're going first with DC, DCSCF. That's first. They are first. So let's go ahead to Vaughn Bennett. Vaughn, you are first in response. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Vish. I appreciate the question. And, there was some confusion regarding the submission of the initial application, and that I thought it was March 1st. And then I got an email I didn't read until 9:30, almost 10 o'clock at night on February 28th that said that the application was due February 28th. So I had an hour and a half. So what I did, I just pretty much threw stuff together and didn't realize I was putting a draft thing that I had. We didn't even ratify what I submitted. It was a draft, like the board and others that we submitted. So those things have been taken care of, and the new application reflects the direction and the proper information.
All right, thank you. Next, we go to DMV. And so, Steve, please unmute yourself.
So the question is a very broad one. I mean, the questions were asked, and we wrote 4 pages an answer, a 4-page long answer to these questions. So if I'm going to try to maybe guess what you, like what concerns you were specifically talking about, maybe even a more specific question. I guess why don't I start with answering a general question? So generally, there were concerns related to DMV just being, an LLC, a for-profit corporation, and basically this is what we are. And the USCF's policy is that either a nonprofit or an LLC can apply to become a state chapter. That neither one nor the other is preferred. So there are arguments that a nonprofit might be better, but we think that the specific circumstances determine which organization should be best tasked for the job. And the way membership is defined as an LLC is different than the way it's defined in a nonprofit. And membership refers to the owners of an LLC. Beyond that, I think you'd have to ask a more specific question. We do our best to answer it, but you can refer to our document. We wrote 4 pages on this.
Yeah, and I just also want to add that as an LLC, our goal is not exclusively to make a profit in all situations at all costs. So our first responsibility as state affiliate would be to serve Washington, D.C. And make sure that the state championship events happen and they get a lot of people. And we make money from our other chess activities to support us outside of that. So.
All right, thank you both. All right, third is DCCA. Robin, please unmute yourself.
Thank you for that question. So first of all, the way I read it, the way my team read it, it's not required that you are a membership organization. It is required that you create a pathway so that members of the USCF who live in Washington, D.C. and the general public can express their ideas and the activities that they want to see in the District of Columbia. So how we addressed that was, as we are headquartered in DC, we have a portal, we have codified in our bylaws that we will have public meetings and that we will collaborate with residents, that our portal is always open, that we will publish our meetings, and we will publish the community suggestions, and we will be reporting regularly to USCF Executive Board any changes and any new ideas that we employ.
All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move now back to the hands that are raised. Hal, please unmute yourself. You are next.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So the second question I have is for the DMV, and basically I kind of want to follow up on what some other people have said. It may not be required that state affiliates be 100% membership organizations, but in my experience, usually the ultimate control of a state affiliate falls to the membership, that they can change the leadership if they want. But the DMV as a corporation, some of the people who are involved in the application have ownership interests. So it would in effect, it seems, be impossible for the membership to change the leadership under any circumstances. And
So Hal,
it's
do you have a
similar
question?
concern.
Hal, do you have a question?
I'd like to hear more about how the members can influence the governance of the organization.
All right. Steve, I'm coming back to you. Please unmute yourself.
So Hal,
Steve and Josh.
in answer to your question, Hal, we are an LLC, so we can't be voted out. At least I can't be voted out as founder of the company. So I can see that. However, people will vote with their feet. So our tournaments regularly get over 100 people and sometimes over 200 people. So if we're not doing a good job, attendance will decline and we won't be able to continue running the events. We're also responsible to the States and Affiliates Committee and the U.S. Chess Federation.
Yeah. Also, I should add that people email us with their concerns and we answer them. People meet with us about them, we answer them. People can go to work for us and become part of it. So we're very attentive to what people want. Because like the worst thing you want as an organization is to ignore what people are interested in. Because then people talk and people say, oh, like I have this issue and like DMV didn't address it. And then people tell other people and then you have a real problem.
Yeah, and after every tournament, we actually do a post-mortem where all of the tournament directors get together and we talk about the feedback we've had from the players. One player had this complaint or one player raised this issue. How can we do this better next time?
Thank you very much. Next in line, Caleb, please unmute yourself.
Thank you. So one of the things that the DASIs that concern what state chapters are asked to do, some of them are required, some of them are recommended. One of the recommended things is that that the state chapter issue like a chess publication for the state. It might include things like news and whatever else. So I was wondering if your affiliate comes to state chapter, would you be issuing a chess publication for the district? And if so, how often would it be issued? And maybe you can explain more what that would look like. Thank you.
Is that a question to all three, Caleb?
Yes, it's for all
Okay.
three.
All right,
Okay,
so the order that we'll go this time is DCCA goes first. So Robin, I'll ask you to unmute yourself, please.
Thank you for that question. We plan to use a platform such as Constant Contact to email interested persons quarterly. We will have a subscribe button on our website. We will always post our information and upcoming activities that involve all of the chess organizations on our website. In addition to our public meetings and all of our events, organizations around the area are welcome to pass out flyers, but we will have a subscribe button on our website and we will be sending out regularly quarterly emails, and we will have social media. We're very good at social media.
All right, thank you very much. We will go back to Steve. And Steve, you're next. Please unmute yourself, Steve and Josh.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad that you asked that question because we already have the equivalent of a newsletter. So if you go to the website dmvleague.com, For that like league, we decided to put lots of games online, put analysis both by the players and by me. We decided to put photographs. We had an essay. So one thing is that in a way, this can tell you like what a newsletter would look like. So we've been discussing a newsletter and its feasibility. One option is to have something which is online, like the dmvleague.com website. The other option is to put a printed newsletter. So if we do a printed newsletter, we'd want to talk with the Virginia and Maryland chess associations and ask them for basically their expertise on it, like their recommendations, like what the costs were, how distribution, et cetera. We also did a newsletter. We ran a charity tournament, the Murray Newcomb Memorial Open, that a renowned chess player in the area died of cancer. And so his brother donated some money and asked us to put together a tournament. And part of it, we put like a brochure, which had some of his games, like analysis, et cetera. So we're already like on top of doing things like that.
Right, thank you. All right, moving on to Vaughn Bennett. Vaughn, if you would unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, I think it's important that we communicate and let the people know what's going on as far as chess activities. That's so critical. And to the point where there were 2,600 children at the Gaylord Hotel this past December for the Grays Championship, and about less than 30 were from DC, and most of them were my students. And the same went for the high school championships and the elementary championships in Baltimore. So communication is key. But one of the things that we are in the process of doing is implementing a newsletter spearheaded by the children and youth, not just the newsletter, but utilization of podcasting and social media. We're going to make contact with the local newspapers, which we've already started, and television stations, but and the school systems, so that we can reach out. There was a time when I gave tournaments and I would send a fax to every single school. And so getting the information out is critical, because most people don't know that almost every year since 1995, a 12 or 13-year-old has won a full scholarship to the University of Maryland at Baltimore County. So the thing is that educating, informing people is critical. So that's a wonderful question. How we're going to do it, we're going to use a combination of sending out the paper newsletter, and that will be student, children driven, District of Columbia residents driven. And by the way, we have more DC residents that play, DC members of the US Chess Federation that played than any of the other applicants. Even though DMV Chess has 2,000 people in their database, if you look closely, you'll see they have about less than 50 people that have ever played in their tournaments from DC.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bennett. All right, going back to the hands raised. We have Adam Krisney. Adam, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, again, got a question actually for USCF before I get into my question for the three applicants. And this goes to the submittal, something that Robin just said in response to membership, and in the questions that the USCF sent to DMV and in which they responded regarding membership. Are there any requirements of state chapters regarding membership representation and participation? And I'd like to have that answered before I actually ask my next question. Is that permissible?
Well, the purpose of this meeting is to ask questions of the candidates. But
Okay.
if you look at the actual slide presentation, we give you the information from the actual bylaws. And if you notice in there, it says provides representation. The word membership is not specifically stated, but provides representation.
Okay,
All right?
that'll work.
Yes. Okay, your
Okay.
question, please.
Yes, and this is, and I didn't really, I'm going to take DMV's, this is for everybody, but I'm going to take DMV's written response and Robin's stated response to an earlier question and focus this on membership representation within your new affiliate, assuming you get it. And forgive me, Josh and Stephen, for focusing on you guys, but yours is the only written thing that I have to go from. The USCF stated or posed 3 or 4 or 5 questions to you, of which 3 or more focused on membership representation and how you would follow through with that. And to be honest, your answers did not really answer how you define membership in the DMV. For instance, in question 1, it said, what defines membership in DMV? And the response said, this is how we operate as an LLC is distinct from how a member is defined in other contexts. And later down in your answer, you say every member has a right to play and has a right to attend our unrated activities. But that really doesn't get to membership representation. I ask of everybody.
Okay, so Adam, I'm going to ask you just kind of streamline us a little bit.
Yeah,
What's your
I'm
question?
getting to that right now. I would ask of everybody, what is it that you actually do that you would be doing to represent your membership, and how would they be able to actively participate, other than posing questions, actively participate in your organization?
Okay, so the question, just give it to me one more time, nice and succinct, so we can go from
Yeah.
person to person.
How does a member in the new affiliate actively participate in the leadership, other than trying to become a board member? How do they have a vote? Do they and what other sort of activity can they do and participate in, either annually or monthly or whatever?
So if I can summarize, you're saying, what does that representation look like?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so we're going to start with Vaughn Bennett. We'll go in that order. We're varying the order. So Vaughn, you're first up. Please unmute yourself.
So the answer, if you go to our bylaws in section 3.02, rights, privileges, and duties of memberships, it mentions members and chess clubs sponsored by schools, colleges, and universities in the District of Columbia are eligible to receive instructional, organizational, and promotional assistance upon request and as authorized. Members who are residents of the District of Columbia are eligible to vote as described in Section 6 of these bylaws. It shall be entitled to vote in all regular and special DC State Chess Federation membership meetings and to hold office. Members are entitled to refer to DC State Chess Federation any matter affecting their individual performance in competition play or their rights and privileges as members. The rights of a member cease on termination of their membership. The DC State Chess Federation shall observe the definition of a resident as provided by the District of Columbia Office of Tax and Revenue, including members of the military stationed in DC for a period of 6 months or more. And so this would alleviate what the States and Affiliate Committee had spoke to regarding the District of Columbia residents not having access to chess for 30 years. If you go and pull that report from last July, I think it'd be very elusive, not elusive, but illuminating as to what has been happening in the District of Columbia. And you must understand some of the applicants today are some of the same individuals, including you, Mr. Christie, who have been involved with the GC Chess League and what it's been doing for the last 30 years.
All right, well, thank you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
the next group up is Steve and Josh. You are next. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, so we actually define membership very clearly in our document. And in an LLC, a member is the same as an owner. But then we elaborated on it to say that there's a dues paying member. And so we don't actually have dues paying members at the current time. So say other federations like the Virginia Chess Federation, for example, they have dues paying members, so you pay like a fee and you get certain benefits, like for example, receiving a newsletter. But in a way, everyone you could say is a member by the definition of what rights do you have in terms of playing in the tournaments. There's no separate category. So there's something that like both the DCCA and DMV Chess have in common, that neither one is structured like a democracy. So if there are people that that want to participate, both organizations have the capability of keeping them out. The thing is that what DMV Chess we do is that we run ourselves as a meritocracy. So if you have the ability, then you rise like in the ranks. Like anyone who wants to get involved, you have to demonstrate that you have a certain skill that people want. So if you say are good at teaching, if you have a lot of teaching experience, like then yeah, we want you because we want to teach classes. If you're good at running tournaments, yeah, then we want you because we want you to run tournaments. If you're good at fundraising, then we want you because we want you to raise money. So there's many paths for many people to get involved. So I think that's more an answer to your question, I guess, in terms of what a member is. That's if you want to ask about representation. Yeah, I mean, I guess that you get like more actual representation once again, the more merit you show. So if you want to become on the board, you need to demonstrate that you have like a skill that is useful for the DC community.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go back to the hands raised, and we have a new hand that we're going to recognize.
Mr. Chair, was Robin going to get a chance to answer?
Yes. Thank you. Robin, please feel free to unmute yourself. My apologies.
Thank you for recognizing me. So as I continue to remind you is that we are headquartered in Washington, D.C. And although we're a nonprofit organization and our goal is to serve the community. And so being in service to the community, even though we are a small team, we believe that our structure is going to be more efficient than a large organization or large membership organization. And also becoming a membership organization was not a requirement for the application. And we felt that we could best serve the community as a nonprofit organization. And so one of the ways that people can participate is coming to our public meetings, submitting. We will have an application process so that anyone can be a member of our board as long as they meet the requirements that it takes to conduct the activity. We have international master on our board. We have executives on our board. We have moms on our board. And we also have members of our board. So it's not just restricted to the officers. We can have members of our board. And so there's a lot of ways to participate and to let us know that you would like to act in service as an officer.
All right, thank you. Now we'll go back to the hands raised. We're going to recognize Alexander Lumelski. Alex, please feel free to, yes?
Kevin, may I just jump in? I just want to be sure for anybody who's not following the chat. I pasted an excerpt from the delegate actions of continuing interest, which are speaking to state chapter requirements and recommendations. If you go to DASI 1991-27 and go down to number 4, there is language in there speaking to a membership requirement. And in the prelude to that particular DASI, the first 4 items in that DASI are required of state chapters, and then the others are recommended practices. And so it would seem that membership is a requirement of state chapters.
Thank you for that. I stand corrected on the interpretation from our slides. Thank you for putting that on there so it sets the record straight. Alex, please unmute yourself.
I did actually. Thank you, Carol, because you kind of said exactly what I was going to say. Part of the reason that the States and Affiliates Committee rejected DCCL is the fact that there really was no membership. One of the requirements of a state chapter is that there be a membership, because there needs to be opportunities for membership and participation by all USCF members residing in the state. I am not sure how 2 of the organizations participating here today
can become state chapter as a result of this requirement. And that was the findings of the States and Affiliates Committee when we reviewed your applications. So my question is, I guess, since I have to ask a question, have you changed your applications in any way since your first submission on March 1st to address and resolve the requirement of membership? Because it sounds to me like only one organization here has membership, and that's DCSCF. Thank you.
All right, so I think that was a question to all three. And the order that we'll go in is starting with Robin, DCCA. Robin, please unmute yourself to respond to the question, the membership question.
Although we would be happy to be a membership organization, I've read several documents in our that it is not a requirement. It is not a requirement compared to what, I mean, as you have posted on your website. So unless this is something new, and I've been in contact with several members of the of this process, running this process, that is not a requirement being a membership organization. We would have been happy to submit our application based on a membership organization. But that's not what you have posted on your website, on the US Chess website.
All right, so is that your
Kevin,
response?
Can I respond to that?
Well, let's go ahead and let everyone else respond. We can put you back in line. So let's go ahead next to DMV, Steve and Josh. Steve, please unmute yourself. Let me just click on the button here. There we go. Steve?
So for the purpose of playing in our events, you know, we don't collect a membership. We don't have dues paying members, but any DC resident is effectively a member of the organization and can participate in the events. And in terms of governance, we can't be replaced, but other people can join our board and they can participate as tournament directors, as teachers, as volunteers, etc.
Yeah, I guess just to add that perhaps reading that passage too literally, it creates other problems, right? Because it automatically excludes like all LLCs, which is not the intention. I mean, you know, I mean, it's also like, I'm not really sure what, you know, when they say membership and participation, I think that they mean in general that they want to give opportunities for people to kind of like not to be excluded. And we're, you know, we're very into trying to include people, to trying to, you know, get people involved, as many people involved as we possibly can.
Yeah, and we don't have any plans to do a dues paying membership system. We could revisit that if we have to, but I would see that as a positive thing. You know, it enables people in DC to participate in our events without having to pay a membership, which right at this time, we don't have any plans to incorporate that, although we could if that were a requirement.
All right, thank you very much. Let's go to Vaughn Bennett. Vaughn, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. As I spoke a few minutes ago upon this initial question, that in our bylaws that were submitted, we cover that under section 302, I believe it is. Yeah, 302, rights, privileges, and duties of membership. And the thing about it is that we operate everything we do. No one, if they cannot afford to pay it, no one would be ever excluded. You know, we don't charge for any of our tournaments to our children. The adult tournaments we do have fees for, but the thing is we want to make it accessible because the people have not had access to chess in the District of Columbia. And I believe there's something wonderful on the horizon with proper governance over the District of Columbia. Again, you have the same people that have been involved with the DC Chess League for decades that are other applicants. The other applicants are involved. You know, the president of the DCCA, Ms. Ramson, was the appointed delegate and scholastic director appointed by DC Chess League. And most of the children in the District of Columbia don't know about the events in the District of Columbia. And the DMV Chess, you know, for I understand that they give tournaments, but everything they do, the children have to pay for it. So that's going to immediately exclude the underserved communities in the District of Columbia that we want to lift up, especially at the time of gun violence. One of the best ways to address it is to utilize chess in the form that Dr. Benjamin Franklin spoke about, you know, and I look forward to, regardless of what happens here, what's on the horizon and how we can build together.
All right, well, thank you. And I'm going to turn it over very quickly to Carol Meyer. She wants to speak, so I'm going to let her preempt, and the rest of the hands that are up, we'll get to you.
Hey, Kevin,
Carol?
I've already interjected, so you missed that text. So all is
My
good.
apologies. All right, so then we're good. All right, so then looking back now, the hands, I've got Hal Terry is returning. Hal, please unmute yourself.
Okay, yeah, all right. So this question, again, is about governance structure, and it's for the DCSCF. In the documents that you submitted, there are multiple references to an executive director, but the bylaws that you submitted don't show any of that as either an appointed or elective position. Is the idea that after the elections, the president will take over those duties, or are you planning to reinstitute the executive director position at some later time? Thank you.
All right, Vaughn Bennett, please feel free to unmute yourself. Wait a second. Let me just double check. Vaughn, please unmute.
All right, thank you, thank you. So the plan is that once we are in place as the official state affiliate, that we will no longer be in need of the executive director position, and that we can go forward and just do it in the fashion that is outlined in the bylaws, where we would have the president and others running the organization in order to be able to provide a guide to the rest of the District of Columbia that has never seen the governance of chess as it should be. Again, you know, we could talk about what the DC Chess League has not done for 30 years. That'd be like taking baseball away from the city or taking basketball away from the city. And if you don't know how things are run, then we get a chance to show that. So our bylaws are going to function in that way to be the guide, so that the people will get an understanding of what the proper guidance, the governance in chess should be.
So Hal, was that a response to your question?
Yes, that's fine.
Great, great. Thank you, Vaughn. All right, let's go up to the hands that are raised, and Caleb Brown is returned. Caleb, please unmute yourself.
Hey, Mr. Chair, Frank Vogel's not had a chance to answer the question yet.
Well,
He's
you
in
know what?
line.
That's a good point. Caleb, wait, come back in. Let me get Frank.
And Caleb,
Vogel because-
to be frank, Caleb had actually pointed that out in chat. So
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not looking at the chat. I'm trying to keep up with these hands. So I'm going to bring in Frank Vogel because he hasn't spoken yet. So Mr. Vogel, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Okay, I think I finally clicked. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for just letting me point out something here. The reason I've got a question is, I've got a vested interest here. You may not be aware, but our affiliate in Rhode Island is facing a challenge to our state affiliate status. I've noticed that many of these questions that everyone has been putting forth, it seems like everyone's zeroing in on one of the state chapter requirements in the 1991-27, which relates to having a formal organizational structure as laid out in bylaws or articles of association, which includes, but is not limited to, specifying the governing authority, their selection, meeting schedule, purpose of the state chapter, providing opportunities for membership and participation by all U.S. members residing in each state. Okay, each state shall submit a copy of their bylaws, etc. Okay, so that to me is not indicating that it is an absolute requirement that you have a voting membership structure to elect officers in the state affiliate, but everyone seems to be pointing to that as the argument.
So
And
let me
Robin
ask-
pointed out,
So let me
that-
ask you, Mr. Vogel, do you
Yes.
have a question for the candidates? That's the
Well,
purpose of today.
for the purpose of today, yeah, I would say that the question is, and maybe they didn't address it perfectly, but they should say, yes, I either do have a voting structure to elect board members, from the membership, or I have a board structure that self-selects. And that's not necessarily a negative, but it appears to me that most of the people are trying to zero in on that is like,
Okay,
that's a
so
negative if you
that-
don't have that structure.
So then just if you could succinctly state your question, we would
Okay,
turn
I
it back
guess
to
to
the
each,
candidates.
to each organization there, maybe either yes or no, you have a voting membership structure for board members, and if not, why is that? Do you believe why it's not there, and the advantages of not having
Okay,
that
so
particular
Do
structure?
you have a voting? Say that again, please.
Yeah, is there a membership voting structure for the board members of the state affiliate? And if you
All
don't
right.
have that,
That'll-
explain why that's an advantage.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and follow up. Let's go with DCCA. No, I'm sorry. We're going to start with DCSCF as the first respondent. So Vaughn, I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself to respond to the question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Vogel, for the question. And under Article 4 of our bylaws, 4.01 to be precise, composition of the Board of Directors, the DCSCF Board of Directors shall be comprised of 5 elected officers, and the membership shall elect the chairman and 2 directors. And we have terms for the chairman, and when the officer's position becomes vacant, we'll have the majority of the directors may elect a member to fill such a vacancy. The members of the board decide in closed session who shall serve as vice chairman, excuse me, executive secretary, and 2 directors designated as members at large. I hope that answers your question.
All right, we will now move on to DCCA for their response. Robin, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Would you repeat the question just succinctly, clearly, so I can exactly answer it?
Mr. Vogel?
Yeah, I guess specifically, it's like, is there in place in your organization currently a membership structure such that each so-called member from the state that participates actually has voting rights to elect the board?
All right.
And if not, why, what's the advantage or disadvantage of that?
Okay. Robin?
So we have codified in our bylaws that we will have members from across the wards in DC, members from various backgrounds. We've codified our pledge to diversity on our boards. We have members on our board, on our team, that is beyond the officers. And I think people should look at how our organization has worked across the boundaries and how Mr. Bennett's organization has run a campaign of smear campaigns against innocent chess teachers, against innocent organizations.
So I would ask that you stay to the question that was asked of you concerning your organization.
We have codified in our bylaws diversity. Our members of our organization have working qualifications that clearly identify them as capable of moving the organization to the next level and doing the things at a high level that the DC residents want.
All right, Mr. Jablon, please unmute yourself and respond to the question.
Yeah, so in answer to Frank's
Josh.
question, no, we do not, our board is not elected by the general public. And he also asked a follow-up question, what are the advantages to this? And I think that, the Washington, D.C. Chess community, it's a very unique situation. In some cases, it might be advantageous to have a board that's elected by the public, but in the aftermath of the previous affiliate collapsing, and as you guys know, there's a lot of turmoil in Washington, D.C. I think the DC community needs a stable organization. Not just anybody can join the board. Anyone who wants to join the board is going to be vetted by us. So I would consider that to be a feature of our organization.
Yeah, I should also add that DMV Chess, like what their primary activities are is directing tournaments and teaching. And everyone on the board has teaching experience. So either chess teaching or teaching outside of chess. And 3 out of the 5 people are senior TDs or higher who are on the board. And this is also very important, not only to be a tournament director, to be a high level tournament director with lots of experience, with managing large tournaments, because a lot of what we do is manage, large tournaments.
All right, thank you. Okay, Caleb, I'm going to return to you. Sorry for preempting you a little earlier. Please unmute yourself.
Oh, that's fine. The rules of debate need to be followed. So I have a question for the District of Columbia State Chess Federation. This might be a typo, but I just want to make sure. So under section 603, your bylaws, it says that at every meeting of members, each voting age member resident in Virginia and present at the meeting shall be entitled to 1 vote. Is that supposed to be Virginia, or did you mean DC? I'm not quite sure. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Bennett, if you'd please respond.
You said, can you say that again? Can you ask the question again, please?
We find Caleb. Caleb?
Thank you. So under sections 306 of your bylaws,
306.
essentially saying that at membership meetings, people that live in Virginia will get the vote. Was that maybe a typo, or is that intentional?
Okay, yeah, no, I apologize. So as I was saying earlier, that was from the initial, that draft, that was not the final application. The bylaws that I had originally submitted were unratified bylaws. They were just draft bylaws, and that was just, something that I was throwing together. And I, under that rush of February 28th deadline, I submitted that inadvertently. However, the newly submitted application contains the ratified bylaws, and there's no language such as that in there.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll go back to the hands raised. Currently 1 hand. Alexander Lumelski. Alex, you can please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Kevin. I mean, I don't understand why there's confusion on the point that a state chapter has to have membership. There are parts of the US Chess bylaws that require a representative value to a state affiliate, including the appointment or election of US Chess, of delegates to US Chess. The DASI that requires membership and participation by US Chess members is a requirement. It has been on the US Chess website going as far back as the old website. So I'm not sure why there's confusion on this point. It is a requirement. And I mean, I guess if I have to ask a question,
Yes,
want to
please.
confirm. I just want to confirm that, just to each candidate, do you or do you not have an organizational membership?
All right, we will round it back one more time, but I think we just got an answer from each before. So we will go. All right, so we're just going to try to vary this up again, and let's go with DMV. Please respond to the direct question. Steve and Josh.
Yeah, so for the purposes of playing in our events, anybody who's
It's just, again, it's just yes or no. Do you have organizational membership?
okay. So as I was going to say, yes, anyone who is a DC resident who is a member of the US Chess Federation is a member capable of playing in our tournaments.
All right, thank you. And then second is Vaughn Bennett. Please unmute yourself to respond to the question.
Yes, sir. We definitely have a membership structure written in our bylaws and to be
Okay.
implemented.
Thank you. And then let's go to Robin. Please respond to the question.
Alex, you talked to me and two of my team members, and you told me that membership was not required. That's what you told me, because you were advising us on this process.
So do you have an answer to the question directly?
The public can participate in the election of our officers.
All right. Okay, so going back, we have, let's see, we just got Caleb. We're going to go back to Frank Vogel. So here we go, Frank Vogel. Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry, Frank. Hang on, Frank. Here we go, Frank. Please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we can.
Okay, I had read in my previous question right out of the DACI, okay? There is nothing in the wording of that DCI that says you have to have a membership requirement. So I don't know what Mr. Lumelski is referring to when he said it's clear that you have to have a membership voting structure for the state affiliate. Show me, please, where you know that is.
All right, so let me just kind of pull everybody together on this. We're not going to do a back and forth between delegates. The purpose of this meeting is for us to talk to the candidates. The questions have been asked, questions have been answered. If we're going to recycle some of this, then we will be pulling this closer to a close. I'm going to come back to Caleb Brown. And Caleb, if you could unmute yourself, do you have a question to the candidates?
Yeah, I have one particularly for DMV. So I'm not going to rehash everything that everyone's been saying. Don't worry about that. But so concerning membership in an LLC, it's not necessarily an all or nothing thing, like you just own a percentage of the whole company or whatever. That's one way to do it. But something that's come to mind is, what if, say, you were to put your DC operations in like a subsidiary or something? Was I muted the whole time?
No, we heard you.
Okay. Okay, so what if you were to say put your DC operations in a Sirius LLC or a subsidiary of some kind, and then you would allow DC residents to maybe say invest in that subsidiary. Maybe it doesn't have. Maybe that doesn't.
You have a question, sir?
Yes, I am. Yeah, it's at the end. So maybe you would do something like that.
So as opposed to instructing them, do you have a question for them?
Yes, I am. I'm getting to. I'm looking to see whether they'd be willing to this idea. That's all. So like you would allow for DC residents maybe to invest in this DC subsidiary. Like maybe it's not common equity, maybe it's preferred equity.
Okay, so
something
again,
like
Caleb, I'm going to have to cut you off if you don't give me a question. Do you
Okay,
have
so
a
would
question?
would DMV be maybe willing to consider that possibility?
Another approach. All right, so let me go to them and let's go back to Steve and Josh. Do you have any thoughts on an alternate approach?
Oh, yes, actually, it's good that you asked that question, because initially when the DC state chapter became open, our first thought was that the best option would be to create a chess association that'd be kind of open to everyone with memberships, et cetera. So we had this idea of the DC Chess Association, and we submitted a draft to officers on the board for discussion. As a practical matter, this didn't go anywhere because we couldn't really get everyone to agree to this. Like all the people, they wanted to go their own way. But we thought that was a good idea, so we were open to that possibility. So then when we were told what the criteria was for applying, one of the criteria were organizations that had been around for a long time. Longevity was really important. And then we were worried. We said, well, if we tried to start a new organization that was only for DC residents, it would have no longevity. It would be a new organization. And we could try to say, well, this is DMV's backing behind it, but we were afraid that this would be rejected if we did that. So we thought the only way that it would work is if everyone went with it. But basically, like, no one else, like everyone else seemed to kind of want to form their own organizations. Yeah.
So that was that you are,
We're not really considering it at this time, but
Thank
it was something that we initially considered, and we understand, what the idea is based on.
Now, I mean, something else is that, so the, like Chess Girls DC, they had found, they kind of created DCCA. So it was also the idea of a new organization. And we didn't think, I mean, we kind of assumed that the USCF wouldn't view that favorably. So that's why we didn't do that. I mean, had we considered that that might have been like a possibility of just forming a new one, then we may have like gone that route, but we just thought that we'd be rejected if we did that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we're open to, but considering that longevity is a criteria set by the USCF, we can't really do it. But if that weren't the case, it's something we would be open to.
all right, thank you. All right, I'm going to move to the hands raised, and we have a new hand. Larry Cohen, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Okay, a question for DMV. Did you consider the idea of an executive board, which is non-electable? In other words, you guys own it, you're the executive board, and then an elected additional board where members could be elected to your organization?
All right. Let's go back to Steve and Josh.
We didn't specifically consider the possibility of creating a second executive board. I don't really see that that's a path to efficiency at this point. I mean, sort of now that you bring it up, I mean, we could discuss it, but I don't see that would be a good idea. What do you think?
I mean, I kind of agree. It's something that's worth considering. And to be honest, we haven't considered it up until this point. So, we would consult, Mike Hoffpower and the Virginia Chess Federation and see what they think. But at this time, we don't have plans to do it. But we're not going to rule it out either.
All right. Thank you very much. Going back to the hands. Adam Krisney, please unmute yourself.
This is specific to Robin and her new affiliate. A lot has been made, started by me and one of the others, about membership representation, and you had on a couple of times said that you didn't think it was required based off of before you actually submitted your application. But now, given that you've gotten a lot of feedback here during this meeting, would you be willing to consider membership opportunities for your organization going forward as a way to bettering your application for the affiliation for the state of DC?
All right, Robin, you have the floor.
Yes, we would be willing to. With the swipe of the pen, it's not a problem. We thought that the organizational structure that we had would be more efficient, but we have no objections to creating a membership structure or creating another pathway in which people feel like they can participate more. We did it in the interest, we created our structure in the interest of efficiency and making sure we had capable people.
All right.
So the answer is yes, we would be open to that. It's not a problem if it were a requirement. I mean, if we knew that it was a requirement, but we had asked several people who are advising on this process, and they told us that it was not a requirement. They actually told us that if I had just organized Chess Girls DC, that it would be enough. But we thought that it would be better to have a different name. And the team that we have has done so much to promote and support financially the children and the people in the city that we thought that we could bring that asset through.
All right, thank you. At this point, there are no further hands raised. So we will go ahead to the to the last part, which is basically to talk about what comes next. And as we've discussed, for our next steps, we are all to convene in Grand Rapids for us to have the delegates meeting. And at that time, we as a delegate body, because all of us are either delegates or alternates, including executive board members, they're delegates. We will go over that and we'll address the matter there. We've invited all 3 candidates to be present at the annual meeting when this topic is being discussed. And this recording is being made available to all members within just a couple of days. So I thank you all for the time. I also want to thank Carol. Thank you, Mike, for being a part of this. Let's see, we also had Rose, who was there for support in the event that we needed some technical support. Rose, thank you for that. Also, just real quick, thanks to Vish and to Alex, also with the States and Affiliates Committee, for coming in to add some additional context to what's gone on through this process. So we're going to go and we're going to adjourn at this point. Thank you very much for the time. See you in Grand Rapids.